Alrighty. Hello, and welcome to our third Symbl.ai community meeting. Just like to thank everyone that showed up here. Today's date is Wednesday, March 23rd, 2023. If you're watching this recording from home, we encourage you to come and join us live. As a reminder, these meetings are public and recorded and posted to YouTube at the conclusion of the meeting. We have two meetings a month. The first one occurs the fourth Wednesday, which is this one at 11 a.m. Pacific. We have a second one that's scheduled because I'm on the Pacific coast here, the west coast of in California. It's my time technically at 8:30 tonight, but in India Standard Time, it's Thursday, March 24th, which is tomorrow for the India Standard Time folks at 9 a.m. Just as a reminder, this meeting's for you, the community, so you're encouraged to bring up any discussions, topics, ideas, or anything else relating to Symbl or conversation AI, any of that fun stuff. Can't attend any of these times, you can always reach out to us on the Google group or in Slack. If you have any discussion topics that you want to bring up today, you can scroll down and add them to the agenda, which I did not have the agenda notes up, which I will do right now. So got the agenda notes that if you are attending here, not required, just totally optional. You can put your name into the attendees list here. I'm going to share this link on the chat here for those that want to do that. Add yourself to the attendees list if you so desire. Yeah, and if you want to bring up any other topics, you can scroll down and add them to the agenda, which is right here. So you can add it to the agenda. And having said that, we're going to go ahead and kick off the meeting. We'll go through the notes here. So for announcements, just as a reminder for everyone, because these are recorded, we have the material for last month's February. We have February recording and the slides available, so you can click the link there and you can grab them and take a look at the recording and the slides. Also, another announcement, we're going to kick off the video training series, so that will hopefully get posted today. The idea is we're going to have a video training series about every topic, every kind of feature, and the first one is going to be a kickoff video for the entire series. It's basically like a Symbl meet and greet kind of thing, like, what is Symbl.ai? Like, what are the platform capabilities? So that's right here. So that should hopefully go live with a blog post. And then my goal is by the end of either this week, so by Friday, or worst case on Monday, to have the transcription training video kind of posted by around, or recorded and made available around that time. And then the redaction one, definitely by the end of the month. But hopefully I'm going to try to target that for next Friday, not this Friday, but next Friday. Another announcement is a proposal in the change for the APAC meeting time to 8 a.m. India Standard Time. Part of this is it pushes because of the US daylight savings time, it pushes my time a little bit back, and it also now conflicts with an internal meeting. It's actually our all hands meeting for Symbl. So I'd like to push it 1 hour earlier, so at 8 a.m. India Standard Time. And that proposal's out there. It's a pull request for the community repo. It's effectively just a time change. If there's any alternate proposals for times, feel free to comment on there. But if you actually just click this link here, you can actually see the pull request to change the time. So that's kind of how we're getting visibility for everything, is through that community repo. So having said that, we're going to jump into updates and the curated content, but I'm going to pause here. If anyone has any questions, or if everyone's all good. Any questions? All right. If not, then I'll continue on with the updates and the curated content. So brought up from an action item from the last meeting was to talk about sentiment analysis. So we are doing that. So that's what's happening in this meeting. We're going to have I'll do a little presentation about sentiment analysis, which I'm going to do in a second. And just as a reminder, if you want to give feedback for this meeting at the end of the meeting, you go ahead and click this link here and provide some feedback. But so let's do the sentiment analysis 101 and got some slides, a couple demos. So a couple as in two demos for us this week. So we'll discuss sentiment analysis and kind of like the agenda for sentiment analysis. This talk here is we're going to talk about what is sentiment analysis because a lot of things get thrown around. And we're just going to go ahead and define it. And we're going to go over some use cases, go over an applied example of like how you could actually apply this sentiment analysis to your applications or your, whatever your business, whatever it is you're trying to do with sentiment analysis. We'll do a couple of demos, and then we'll also have like just a Q&A, obviously, at the end. So what is sentiment analysis? And if you have any questions, feel free, like I said, to just stop me, unmute yourself and ask away. But sentiment analysis, so it's basically a measurement of a speaker's expressed feelings or enthusiasm about what is being discussed or being said. So we'll see in a second, but that's basically happens at the topic level and also the sentence level on the Symbl platform. So when someone's saying something, as every sentence gets completed, so you'll actually have the is finished equals true message. So like when there's a complete sentence or complete thought, you'll get a sentiment score for it. And that score is basically -1, which is like a negative feeling or sentiment about what is being said. 0 is neutral and 1 is like positive, like you're expressing a positive feeling about like what is being said. On the Symbl platform, we support asynchronous and real time. So you can have the sentiment analysis be applied to every sentence and every topic. If you were to like take in a recorded video and put it through the Symbl platform, along with the transcription, you'll get the sentiment analysis and also the sentiment for the topics. This can also happen in real time. So if you are using WebSockets to stream like, something on a CPaaS platform or a microphone, you'll get as every sentence gets completed. So that final message is final equals true. You'll get like a sentiment score if you've enabled it on the API call, which is done as an option on the when you're setting up the connection for the WebSocket. So kind of already described it a little bit here. So the sentence, like the transcription or the sentiment analysis happens at the transcription or message level. It doesn't do it if while you're saying something. So as you're actually speaking and the transcription's happening, it has to be applied to the completed sentence or the completed thought. So you'll get a score based on that is final true. Is final message equals true. And the reason why is because you can have the sentiment change throughout the sentence. So that's why the score is kind of applied at the end of that completed thought. And you also get a sentiment score for topics. And the reason why you get a sentiment score for topics like allows you for a way to like group many sentences to like a generalized concept or a generalized container or grouping. And on that grouping or on that topic, you can have a sentiment score relative to a grouping of different sentences that are strung together. And that's kind of how that works. And yeah, so that's kind of really interesting how that you can have sentiment on topics. And you can get many topic notifications throughout throughout like a given conversation, and so that sentiment can change. So like if a topic is brought up earlier in the conversation, that sentiment can be different later on, so it could change over time. And so that's something very interesting where you can, have your applications kind of be like tuned into. So like the sentiment changing for topics, and also the sentences associated with that topic, right? Those will change as well. And so like kind of like the measurement of like what the guideline is on every sentence, you can actually get the actual score itself. So the -1 to the +1, but you also get like a quick like feeling, or like a single word that's like just basically negative, neutral, or positive. And that like keyword, instead of like looking at the actual number, you can kind of get like just like the negative, neutral, or positive labeling associated with that. And we score that basically by this little scale right here, which is that -1 to -0.3 is negative. That neutral tone is -0.3 to +0.3. And then like a positive tone or positive sentiment is +0.3 to the, to 1, to +1. And so we'll actually see that in the next little slide below. So like when you're doing transcription, here's an example of what that would look like at the message level. So this is kind of broken off here, but you can see what, in this case, it's a single message in this container, but it's you can see that it's the best package for you is at that price per month. And then you can see what the phrase is broken down. So like there's an action type with the price, and then you'll actually see the sentiment with the polarity, so the score. So this is like slightly leaning positive. So you can get the sentiment score at the message level like this. This is what the actual output of the message will look like during the transcription of the conversation. And if we look at it, what it looks like for topics, this is what it looks like for topics. So in this case, there's a single topic right here. So, and the topic is of type interns. You get all the message IDs associated what generated this overall topic container. And then here you can actually see in the green the sentiment score. So you see the polarity here, which is 0.389. And then like I said, you have that suggested label, that positive, neutral, or negative. Is just kind of as a helper of like, if you wanted to display something quickly, you can go ahead and do that instead of having to look at the score and then deciding. It's just kind of like a helper functionality there. But you'll get that at the topic level. If you had multiple topics, you can see that there's an array here. You could potentially write in, while you're doing transcription, there could be multiple topics that are being discussed in a given sentence. So you'll have obviously the message IDs associated with each topic, but each topic itself will have that sentiment score. And like I said, if the topic were to resurface later on in the conversation, you'll have new message IDs that are appended to this grouping here, but the overall polarity score, so the score of that sentiment, might change and will change as you get later on in the conversation if that topic is discussed again. So just bear that in mind while you're messing around with the sentiment analysis. So let's go over some use cases. I'm going to pause here. Any questions so far? Questions. Okay, if not, I'll take silence as a no question. So let's go ahead and talk about use cases. And I'm monitoring the chat here too. So if you wanted to type questions out in chat, go for it. So like, what are some use cases for sentiment analysis? So for sentiment analysis, I've listed a few here. There are many, many more, but I thought these were kind of cool, interesting ways you could apply sentiment analysis. So one is like automated media monitoring. So this is taking up user feedback, so like reviews, like it could be a particular product, right? So like in Amazon's case, if there's some flip-flops, actually I was looking at flip-flops last night. So if you're looking at flip-flops, you can see the sentiment score about like whether the feedback on a particular review is positive or negative. And the interesting thing is, based on that positive, neutral, or negative review, you can like start to see and deduce like a given perception about like what this particular product, like how is this product being received or perceived in the market space. So this could be done at the product levels, like physical, tangible things like flip-flops, or it could be done with things obviously like a YouTube video. Like when this video gets posted, hopefully it gets positive reviews, but people can post reviews on what they thought about it, right? And so you can do that sentiment analysis on that text as well. So other concepts you can use sentiment analysis is for like branding effectiveness. So this is where we're starting to get like into very like meta territory, but it's very interesting. So if you have sentiment analysis and you're doing it for everything from your content that you're posting, so like reviews on blogs, people providing feedback on videos that are posted to YouTube, even conversations you're having with customers if you're doing it over Zoom or like on a CPaaS platform, you could potentially take all of these topics that are around a certain brand. So if someone mentions a particular brand, you can like literally aggregate that information and take the sentiment for each one of these individual like topic mentions in this conversation or topic mentioned in a conversation 2 or 3 or 4, and you could aggregate that sentiment analysis and like to into a database or whatnot, and you could literally then track what the likability of your branding is. So like as an example, like a very famous brand or very popular brand out there in the tech space is like like the Docker Captain program. So we're actually talking about this internally because we're looking to start our own ambassador program. But you could, right, as you're like launching a given program or a given topic, or even just talking about it out there in the field, you talk about a brand like the Docker Captain program, you can actually collect all of that sentiment analysis in all of the different media formats that the Docker Captain program is being talked about, and you could literally take and aggregate that sentiment feeling and that analysis into like likability over time. So that's kind of like what it's kind of like the idea of what you can use it for. So you can also use it for like content engagement. So if you're posting blogs out there in the blogosphere, you can use sentiment analysis to see how people are perceiving it in a way where it's like they identify with it. This kind of also kind of goes down the campaigns route, and like that self-identification is it can get very interesting if you're using them in the form of like looking at reviews, measuring feedback. So like when in the Symbl platform, you can ask questions, and based on the questions that are being asked, that just the fact that you're asking a question, you're actually engaging with whatever topic or data or blog or whatever that's out there. Or even in a conversation like in this meeting right now, if someone were to ask questions, you can find, there's obviously a level of engagement there. But because the question itself is a sentence or a thing that can be transcribed, it will also have sentiment assigned and associated to that sentence. So you can like figure out whether there's like a net positive, negative, or neutral flow with engagement to a particular, content piece or blog post or video and stuff like that. And you could also even track that if you cross correlate that with Twitter impressions, for example. Like you can, then kind of determine like engageability or likability and engagement with a particular topic, you know. And then obviously the more tangible one that like is more relatable is like customer relationships. So you can use it for like retention and support calls. So if you are in a CPaaS platform or even over the telephone in a call center kind of environment, you can use like what is being said as a score or a metric, whether the customer is having like a good experience with your product or with the engagement with the support person, or like how the call or this like a tech support call is going, whether it's positive, neutral, or negative, which we'll see in a little bit in demo. So I think it'll be pretty cool. So some applied examples. So this first one is actually kind of interesting. So it's headline likability, and I actually started using this recently for my blog posts. One of my coworkers had actually mentioned this as a cool tool to use. So I'm just talking about some other person's company's product. We can actually go ahead and we'll start it up. But so as that's loading, so yeah, you can use like AI driven like headline analysis and sentiment, even associated with something simple as a title for a blog post or a title for a video. So there's this coschedule.com app that's pretty cool, that where you can use sentiment as a part of an analysis for a headline. So like how is this headline being perceived by others? And you can use them to like tag emotion and engagement and likability. So, and so got a comment here. Oh yes, most definitely. So the comments here is it can be also useful to understand like the dark side or the negative aspects of a business, for sure, right? So that's actually a really awesome point, is that not everything's about likability. It's also what is not, you know, what is disliked about a given thing. And you can use that information in order to like change perception or alter like what, like a product or physical product or a blog post, or like what is resonates with other people and what doesn't, right? So that's equally negative is equally just as important information data wise as positive is too, right? So if we look at this app, this is the title for the video training series that's going to hopefully get announced today, but you can see right here that I just created a title and I hit the analyze button, and they're using it in a really cool way. They're looking at different words and how it's emotionally like engaging to the user. So if you can actually go down to like individual words, like introducing is like an emotional word, like unlocks an emotional word. And then over here, if you click sentiment, it'll actually give you like a sentiment score, and it'll give you like based on why, right? So capabilities is a positive word. And so the overall title for this, right, video training series is positive because of certain keywords that are being used in this title. So I thought that was pretty cool. Oops. And that's actually what we're going to go to in a second. So yeah, you can use it for like headline likability. There's that one. So this one's very meta, but and it could be built, and actually you could use the open digital assistant open source project that I created. It's available on GitHub. But I was at a conference and I was talking about all the different things that Symbl offers. And someone from Disney, actually, they work at Disney and actually in the theme park division. And they came up to me and were just, talking about the capabilities of the platform. And they basically flat out said, like, how is this even relevant or important to me? And while I was just sitting there, I immediately just blurted this out. But you could use like edge devices, or like think about it as like little Alexas or like Google Homes or little Siri digital assistants in the form of like an edge device. So think of it like on a Raspberry Pi. And you could plant these devices like all over in Disneyland. I'm not saying that they're doing this. I just threw out the idea, but you could have this thing listen to background conversation, and you could, based on the conversations that are being had in the park, like maybe you have all these microphones specific around a particular ride at the park. You could listen in on these conversations, and based on what people are saying, the sentences that are formed, you can actually get sentiment, right? Positive, negative, or neutral on like what is being discussed. And if you collect all of this data over time, so many, many months, maybe even years, you could find out whether or not a particular ride is enjoyed by, the people that attend the park, right? So Big Thunder Mountain, for example, if the sentiment is good, you'll actually, like, in the background, you'll hear all these conversations about it, and you'll have a good sentiment, a score associated with all the stuff that's being said around it. Likewise, you actually might get a bunch of negative sentiment for a particular ride, and those feelings or those sentiment analysis over time, right? You'll get a graph, and over time, and see like the positives or negative score kind of dipping up or down. You could use those scores to figure out whether you want to invest more in a ride. If it's like a positive score, maybe to bring more people in, or maybe if it's a neutral score, to like invest more in a ride to get more awareness or more branding associated with it. Or if it's a negative score and it's persistently a negative score, and if it's a negative score that's persistently going more and more negative over time, it might be a signal for you to, for Disneyland to maybe like discontinue this ride and like retire it. So you could use sentiment analysis for like a wide variety of things. And so I thought this was a really cool way of like showcasing how sentiment analysis can be used in like a non-obvious way. I'm not sure if they're doing it, but if they are, it would be a very cool way to understand like both the positive and the negative aspects of like, using sentiment analysis, like positive in like, hey, we want to like further this ride, or negative, we don't, we want to discontinue this ride because people are negatively talking about it, and maybe reclaim the space and open up something else that people might enjoy. So, oops. So the first demo I'm going to go through, if you aren't familiar with the Symbl platform, you can actually just log in, create an account. It's free. You don't need a credit card or anything. Just go to right here, platform.symbl.ai. You can just go ahead and type that in, create an account. It's free. Don't need a credit card. But there's a lot of cool things in here where you can effectively play around with all the capabilities the platform has to offer. One I'm going to demo right now. So after you sign up, log into the platform, on the left-hand side, you hit the playground right here, and it'll just dump you into this landing page for different Symbl features that are there. And so we're actually going to use the streaming conversation like playground area for this demo, for this first part. And effectively what's going to happen is I'm going to click the start speaking button. I'm going to start talking about things. It's going to use the local microphone on my laptop to effectively do transcription with a bunch of other things, but we're only going to focus on the transcription piece, because as it's transcribing, it's going to give me sentiment analysis when I have completed thoughts. So I'm going to kind of like speak pretty slowly and just make up random things to talk about, and so we can see what that might look like in the UI. So using a microphone, I'm going to click the button to start speaking. Hi, my name is David Von Thenen. I am a developer advocate at Symbl. and I have been in the software engineering space for a couple decades now. I love helping people discover new capabilities around software. Um, Doing the developer advocacy thing has introduced me to a lot of cool people working on a lot of cool pieces of technology. Sometimes, like in anything else in the world, uh, sometimes software, becomes vaporware, right? It doesn't materialize into anything. Maybe it's too early in the market, or maybe it's just not interesting to others out there. So I'm going to end it. So you can see from the transcription here, right? As I was speaking, you'll actually get the transcription for the things that were said. And you'll also get, like, for every sentence, you'll get the neutral, positive, and then in this case, the negative score on like what is being said. So this is a really cool way visually of like seeing on a per sentence breakdown of like that sentiment analysis, that score associated with every sentence. And like, just anyone else is interested, so see, like, you can actually see the analytics, the entities that are mentioned in, so obviously said software engineering developer advocate. My last name is very different. I'm not David Montana. But you can see the different topics here and the summary. But we'll talk about some of these other things in future community meetings. But like I said, the focus is really the transcription here and the sentiment for on the per sentence capability here. Gonna pause here for questions. If anyone has any questions about like this part of the demo here. Okay, if not, I'm gonna close this off. And like I said, there's going to be, so that's the first one. So the API playground, you can explore different aspects of the Symbl platform. I use that streaming one just so you can see the per message breakdown with the sentiment analysis. So this is another demo. So Mark, who works with me, created this. It's actually very cool, and I like it visually because it's kind of relating back to the sentiment analysis over time, right? So if everyone hopefully can still see my screen, according to Zoom, it's still green around the box here. But so I'm going to do something similar. So I'm just going to like just talk about stuff after I click the blue button here, which is the start processing conversation. And the reason why I kind of like this over, both are good, right? Good representations about doing sentiment analysis. But the reason why I like this one is you can actually see a graph over time and how you might be able to use this to track sentiment like over time, and then potentially even many different conversations if you aggregate that data. So I'm going to start this, and obviously the cool part is this in this lower left-hand corner here, which, hi, my name is David Von Bennett. I am a developer advocate at Symbl. I have been doing developer advocacy for over a decade now, and I love doing the work. It's very fulfilling. It's awesome. It affords me the ability to talk to a bunch of different people and find out what they are doing in the tech space. Sometimes projects, uh, have bugs, and that's all cool and everything. But sometimes, these bugs are pretty significant, and there are many times where I have had to work late nights, and that is not fun. So I've obviously exaggerated. Oh, it's going to keep going. So I've obviously exaggerated some of my sentences just to prove a point here. But this graph is kind of pretty cool because it gives you like the sentiment analysis over time. And you can see the transcription as it's happening and like the messages that are going on in the lower right hand corner here. But this one's color coded so that you can see the good and the bad, right? The positive is green, the negative is red there, and yeah, it's pretty cool just to see graphically like what this might look like if you're tracking sentiment analysis in a given conversation over time. So I thought this was a very cool thing that Mark had created, and yeah, it's kind of just very interesting to see like the sentiment analysis. I'm gonna pause here. Does anyone have any questions? Alrighty, no questions. Cool. Yeah, just some resources like the documentations there. I'd mentioned the playground for JavaScript and the streaming for the sentiment analysis. There's additional resources there for code in JavaScript. You know, reach out on in either in GitHub or in message me in over Twitter or Slack. But there's our community info. Yeah, and questions. Gonna pause one more time for questions and gonna return back to our agenda here. And yeah, so we don't have any open discussion topics. And if anyone wants to bring up any suggestions for next month's meeting, or maybe people have any opinions on having more meetings, we can definitely do that as well. But if anyone wants to suggest a topic for next meeting, I would be more than happy to entertain that as well. If not, last call for questions. Going once, going twice. Alrighty. Well, if you have any questions after the meeting, feel free to reach out to me on Slack, and I'll, to drop by in our community Slack, and you can just go ahead and DM me or just ask in the general channel there. But yeah, thanks for showing up, and hope you have a good rest of your day. Gonna stop the recording.